Hello everyone, welcome back to 3 News Now. Today is Wednesday, March 30th. I'm Stephanie Haney here with your top stories from WKYC.com and our WKYC app. Thanks for being here for the stories that matter most to you here in Northeast Ohio. These are the stories that you are clicking on, reading, and sharing from our website and our app. Let's start with an update to a story that's been going on for more than a week now. Lorain County Community College has said that it's shifting to remote learning. It made that announcement yesterday. This is after the third bomb threat in the space of a week. So they made that announcement and said, as the investigation into the unsubstantiated bomb threats continues, classes and services will be remote for the remainder of the week. They put that out on the social media platforms on Tuesday. Now, prior to that, they had planned to cancel classes and then reopen them on Wednesday, but then making that more specific choice to do so remotely. Now, 3 News has learned that Tuesday's bomb threat did come in electronically. Elyria Police Chief Bill Pelko said, "We are taking these threats seriously and have involved the federal authorities. We are currently working with these federal authorities to see if there is a connection with the other threats." Lorain County Community College had 2 separate evacuation orders last week for different bomb threats. Those were reported on Thursday and Friday. Of course, this is a developing story. As more information becomes available, we will be sure to bring that to you. Now, 3 News has learning that there has been a lawsuit filed earlier this month faulting the Diocese of Cleveland in the case of the deceased former Strongsville priest who was convicted of sex crimes against children. So this lawsuit filed claims that the Roman Catholic Diocese of Cleveland failed to protect a teenage boy who was sexually assaulted by that now deceased former priest, Robert McWilliams. McWilliams was found guilty of sexually exploiting multiple children. He died by suicide this past February while serving a federal prison sentence. So the complaint, which was submitted in Cuyahoga County Common Pleas Court, accuses McWilliams of raping and molesting the 19-year-old plaintiff. The plaintiff is not identified only as John Doe in the filings, and that this happened on multiple occasions, beginning when the victim was just 14 years old. So the allegations are said to have occurred from 2017 to 2018 when McWilliams, the deceased priest, was an assistant pastor at St. Joseph Catholic Church in Strongsville. So St. Joseph is named as a co-defendant in the lawsuit. The diocese, as well as current Bishop Edward C. Malazik, and Bishop Malazik arrived in Cleveland more than a year after McWilliams' crimes became public knowledge. So attorney Conrad Kircher says that the diocese knew McWilliams was an, quote, immature, emotionally unstable individual who, in the context of the history of clergy sexual abuse of children, presented a threat to harm children. And the lawsuit contends that this information was available during McWilliams' time as a seminarian from 2014 to 2017. So 3 News reached out to the Diocese of Cleveland, and here is the statement that was provided to 3 News. The Catholic Diocese of Cleveland has received and is reviewing the lawsuit brought on behalf of an unnamed plaintiff. While we can offer no comment on that pending matter, the diocese continues to offer prayers for all of those impacted by the reprehensible crimes of Robert McWilliams. The diocese has been a leader in the protection of children for the past 2 decades and remains committed to creating safe environments for children in the parishes and schools throughout the diocese. Again, a developing story. As more becomes available, we'll be sure to bring that to you. Now, yesterday we were talking about the updates on what's happening between Ukraine and Russia, and yesterday we talked about how Russia had said that it would back out of 2 major cities, of Kyiv and Chernihiv, and doing so was supposed to create mutual trust in the peace talks. But today we are learning that a different situation is reportedly happening on the ground. Russian forces bombarded areas around Kyiv and another city. This was just hours after pledging to scale back those military operations. There was shelling and intensified Russian attacks on other parts of the country. So now this optimism about those peace talks has really started dwindling away. And we do know that Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky was very suspicious of what Russia was actually planning when it said that it would be de-escalating attacks in those key areas. So soon after the conversation, Ukrainian officials said Russian shellings hit homes, stores, libraries, and other civilian sites in Chernihiv and on the outskirts of Kyiv, which is the capital of Ukraine. Russian troops also increased their attacks on eastern areas in Ukraine. Some officials who comment on the foreign war situation are saying that this is less of a retreat, more of a redeployment and a shifting of Russian resources to the eastern sides of Ukraine, with some analysts saying that this is an attempt to have an eastern land grab by Russia, moving out of the areas where they have not had success in their attacks. We are now 5 weeks into the invasion of Ukraine, and now there are more than 4 million Ukrainians who have fled the country, with that population being about 44 million. That's according to the United Nations. The economic repercussions from the war and the West's sanctions against Russia continue, and we will continue to update you on what's going on there. Now we have some sad news out of the entertainment world. Bruce Willis has been diagnosed with a disease that impacts his ability to communicate, and says that he is now stepping away from acting. This is following a series of health issues. He's been diagnosed with aphasia. So this is something that impacts cognitive ability, according to a statement posted by Bruce Willis's family. Now, the Mayo Clinic describes this as a condition that robs you of your ability to communicate. It can affect not only your ability to speak, but also to write and understand language, both verbally and written. So this is not just potentially a loss of the ability to speak and communicate in that way, but a complete comprehension of communication. The Mayo Clinic explains on the website that it usually follows a head injury or a stroke, but also can be onset by a brain tumor or a neurodegenerative disease. So a statement signed by Bruce Willis's family, signed by Emma Hemming Willis, his wife, his ex-wife Demi Moore, and his 5 children, Rumer, Scout, Tallulah, Mabel, and Evelyn, says this: as a result of this, and with much consideration, Bruce is stepping away from the career that has meant so much to him. This is a really challenging time for our family, and we are so appreciative of your continued love, compassion, and support. As Bruce always says, live it up, and together we plan to do just that. That's the statement from the family. Of course, our thoughts and love and prayers in this challenging time are with Bruce Willis and his family. Lots of people providing an outpouring of support. He has definitely been one of Hollywood's beloved actors. Now, on the national stage today, President Joe Biden received his second booster of the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine. This is after federal regulators yesterday approved that 4th shot for people ages 50 and older. Now, if you weren't aware, 4th and actually 5th shots for severely immunocompromised people over the age of 12 have already been approved by the FDA. And in getting his shot, President Biden also rolled out the government website covid.gov. Now, this is supposed to be a one-stop website where people can get help in the United States to access COVID-19 tests, vaccines, and treatments, and also get status updates on infection rates where people live. The White House said that with the click of a button, people will be able to find access to all of these tools and also the latest data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention on COVID-19 in their particular communities. Again, that website is covid.gov. Now, if you recently got a text message from your own phone number and you're wondering what that was about, we have information for you on that now. Our Verify team looked into this, and it was Verizon customers who reported getting a message that was a spam text message, looked like it came from their own phone numbers, and it said that your bill is paid for March, thanks, and here's a little gift for you, with a link that looked like random characters, and then took people to Russia's television station. So Chris Welch of The Verge reported it sent him to Russia's Channel 1. That's a state-sponsored network. And Verizon said it had no indication that the activity was actually originating for Russia, but certainly something to be very suspicious of there. Verizon did say this: Verizon is aware that bad actors are sending spam text messages to some customers which appear to come from the customer's own number. Our team is actively working to block these messages, and we have engaged with U.S. law enforcement to identify and stop the source of this fraudulent activity. Now, this is a type of something that's called spoofing. That's when someone sends you a message that appears to come from a different number than the number that it's actually coming from. Not very typical for this to look like it's coming from your own phone number, but that was the case here. And here's a reminder: don't click on links that come from numbers that you don't know and that look suspicious. The safest bet is to just delete the message, block the number, and move on with your day. Here is something that you do not want to move on from. If you have not yet filed your 2018 tax returns and you think you might be due a refund, now is the time to do it, because the IRS only has to hold on to that money legally for 3 years, okay? So this is your 2018 tax return. This is what you would have filed in 2019. That would have been the filing date, okay? So it's 2022, so that puts us at the 3-year mark, and this is when you're going to lose out on that money if you don't file that paperwork, because the IRS is holding on to nearly $1.5 billion in tax refunds for an estimated 1.5 million people who have not yet filed those 2018 tax returns. The median amount of those refunds, $813. So that means half of the refunds will be less than $813, but half of the refunds will be more than $813. And I don't know about you, but I don't have $813 to throw away. So if you're in that boat, get your paperwork together, get that submitted. You have until the IRS deadline this year, just a couple weeks, just about 3 weeks away now, to file those 2018 tax returns and make sure you're not missing out on that money. Chris Rock is somebody who's not missing out on any money. You know that it was the slap heard round the world at the Oscars where Will Smith slapped Chris Rock, and we also know that since that happened, ticket sales to his Ego Death Tour have gone up, and so potentially as a result of that, he's added a second show here in Cleveland. He was already coming here on June 16th. Now he'll also be here on Friday, June 17th. That will be at Playhouse Square's Connor Palace. So those tickets go on sale Friday, April 1st. There are still some tickets available, by the way, for the June 16th showing, and we have the link for that on WKYC.com if you want to check that out. And one more thing to let you know before we go here, we have a new name for our baseball team and also a new team song. It's called We Are Cleveland. They rolled it out today. It's 3 minutes and 23 seconds long. It was written in collaboration with the Guardians and produced by Sam Getz and Jimmy Weaver. Those are two of the founding members of the Cleveland-based band Welshly Arms. So We Are Cleveland will be used at games in Progressive Field and across the team's broadcast platforms. Recording sessions for it were at Blackwall Studios on Cleveland's west side with licensing courtesy of Los Angeles, California-based Position Music. If you want to hear the song, we have it on WKYC.com. You're going to be hearing a lot of it, so you might want to check it out. All right, that's it for your 3 News Now update today for Wednesday, March 30th. I will see you back here tomorrow with more 3 News Now.